And we're on Talmud Bavli, and we're going to go to almost to the bottom, and then we're going to skip ahead to Ayin Beis and Aleph. Boy Minei. Okay. We are on Talmud Bavli, 70B, and it's on the fifth line. Boy Minei Rav Nachman. Okay. So here's where this backs up to. You will remember that if with Shabbos, it depends if you forgot it's Shabbos or forgot if the malacha is asur, correct? If you forgot it's Shabbos, or if you knew it's Shabbos and you forgot today was Shabbos, let's leave the day altogether on the side for a moment. You forgot it was Shabbos, so no matter how many averos you did, you'll only chayav how many chatos? One. Okay, good. The second is if you knew it was Shabbos and you forgot the averos that they were prohibited, how many could you be maxed out at? 39. Each av in Tolda maxed out at 39. So the question of the Gemara is, what if you didn't know it was Shabbos, and what if you didn't know it was the malachas? Are you chayav 1? Okay, or are you chayav 39?
But if you said you didn't remember it was Shabbos, then maybe you should still...
Well, that's probably the obvious answer, as you will come to it. But let's try to make sense of what this actually looks like. So, do you say it's like, let's take it as the Gemara takes it. Do you say that you didn't know it's Shabbos, therefore you chayav 1? Mm-hmm. Or, well, I didn't know the malacha, so I should be chayav all 39. Okay, so that's what the Gemara says. Boy minei Rava Rav Nachman. So Rava has a question from Rav Nachman. Helem ze v'ze biyado. What happens if you forgot it was Shabbos, and he forgot as well the malachas are asur? In other words, if I knew the malachas are asur and I forgot it was Shabbos, I'm chayav 1. If I forgot it was Shabbos and knew the malachas, I'm chayav 39. So Amalei. So Rav Nachman says back to him, Amalei Harei Helem Shabbos biyado ve'eno chayav alachas. Which is probably what you would say, right? So Ad Rabbas, then Rava says back to him, or maybe the Masader Sugya says, Harei Hel Malachas Biyado v'chayav kolachas v'yachas. Okay, so why do you choose 1/39? Mazel Tov. Okay, the Richters had a grandson. Okay, Mirz Hashem, the bris will be on Thursday. I understand. Is that correct? No. Oh no. Well, Mirz Hashem, the bris will be when the bris will be. Okay. All right. Thank you. Mazel Tov. Okay. Mazel Tov. Okay. Amen. Right. So lachnisa b'riso shlav ravino. Anyway, so that's the Gemara throws it back. So Elam Ravashi. So Ravashi says, well, here's how we'll try to figure this out. And you'll see in a moment this is not a good suggestion, or it doesn't hold up. Chazinan imishum Shabbos kaparish harei helam Shabbos biyado ve'enachai v'lachas. Let's see what would really cause him to change his mind. Listen, that's a hypothetical question. I don't know how you really find this out. But I guess you have to kind of decide what kind of person, what pushes his buttons. If you told him that there was Shabbos, that would actually jar him. Mm-hmm. So then the real issue is he didn't know Shabbos. And if you tell him, you wake him up and you say, oh, you're doing malachas, and that would turn him back. So harei hel malachas biyado v'chayav al kolachas v'yachas. So you have to kind of hypothetically, theoretically, kind of ascertain what would really change his mind. I don't know how you would do that. And more importantly, the Gemara says, or Ravina says to Ravashi, Ravashi, Klum parsh mishabbos el mishum malachos, Klum parsh malachos el mishum Shabbos. Who, in other words, Shabbos and malachos are intertwined, and we saw something like this once before, right? In other words, if I tell you it's Shabbos, you're going to stop doing the malachos because Shabbos and malachos because of malachos, right? Not because of Shabbos. If I tell you it's the malachos, it only makes sense for you to stop it if you know it's Shabbos. So really, you can't say it's one without the other. They're both together. So Ella Loshna, okay, but rather it is means you only chayav 1. That's how the interpreter means. Says Rashi Loshna. Loshna means there's no difference. And Rashi says means ve'eno chayav alachas, which is probably what you would have thought it to be, right? Chayav 1. Okay, so that's the simple part of the sugya. Now the Gemara says Tanan. We have our Mishnah. The Mishnah comes up. It says Avos malachos arboim chaserachas. Right, there are how many avos malachos are there? 40 minus 139. V'avina ba, we ask Minyana Lamali, why do we tell me the 39 malachas from Rav Yochanan? Shemasam kolam behelam echad chayva kolachas v'yachas. If I did them all in one helam, in one forgetfulness, I'm chayav for each one. Okay, So just put the Gemara we had for a moment on the side. But so what is the scenario where I didn't know about all the malachos? In other words, what did I know? What did I know? What didn't I know? Right, and we're going to probe that now. What we know I did know is I didn't know all the malachas. I didn't behel mechad. Right? But what did I know? Or what else did I not know? And we just try to present a situation where I forgot everything. I forgot the malachas and forgot Shabbos as well. Mm-hmm. So could that be the case the Gemara is talking about, or not? So the Gemara says, follow the logic of the Gemara here. It's a little bit convoluted. So if I say, not like the final conclusion of our Gemara of Loshna, but like some of the discussion in the middle, that if I did know a Shabbos and I did know the malachas, I'm chayav for each malacha. So shaper. So that could be the scenario of what Rav Yochanan is explaining about this mission of our boim malachas, of our avos malachas, our boim chasarachas. When am I chayav 39 malachas? I did know it's Shabbos. I did know the malachos. Right? Because we suggested we had two choices a few moments ago when we started today. Yeah. If I did know it's Shabbos and I did know the malachos, am I chayav 1 or am I chayav 39? So if I assume for a moment that I'm chayav 39 in such a case where I didn't know anything, so then the case of Rav Yochanan telling me that I'm chayav 39 would work out even in a case where I did know the malachos and I did know Shabbos together. I have a lot of strange looks looking at me. I'll try it again, okay?
That last part again.
The first part of today's Gemara, right, was if I didn't know it was Shabbos and I did not know it Shabbos and I did not know the malachos, right. I'm chayav, how many chayav am I chayav for? We decided one. But in the discussion, we suggested at one point that it could be chayav 39, yes, right? Okay? So the Gemara now wants to kind of ask a question upon the conclusion. So if it follows the conclusion of the Gemara, it's not going to be a question from the next piece of Gemara. Right. But if we assume that if you didn't know Shabbos and you didn't know the malachos, you're chayav 39. If we were to postulate that, if that were to be the conclusion of the Gemara, not what the conclusion is, right? Then I understand what Rabbi Yochanan is saying in this next Mishnah, which says that avos malachas abayim chasirachas tells me that if I did all of them behelam echad, I'm chayav 39, would apply even, not only I didn't know the malachos, I didn't know Shabbos.
And that's the reason why he mentions the number.
And mentions the number to say that even if I did know it's Shabbos and I did know the malachas, the chiddush is, I'm still going to be chayav 39. That's why I mentioned the number.
Right.
Why do I mention the number? To tell me that even in this wild case scenario where I did know it's Shabbos and I did know the malachas, I'm still going to be chayav 39. Okay. If I were to say that if I did know Shabbos and I did know 39 malachas, I'm chayav 39. If I were to say it, which is not what the conclusion is.
Right.
So in other words, it's shapi, it works out well.
Yeah.
But if he yamrid helam Shabbos biyado ena chayav el yamrid helam Shabbos biyado ena chayav el achas hechi mishkachas lei. But if I say that if I didn't know Shabbos and I did know the malachos, then I'm only chayav 1. I'm only chayav 1. Right. Anytime that I don't know Shabbos, even if I did know the 39 malachos, so I did know the 39 malachos. Right. So heichim mishkachas lei. So what would the scenario be in the Mishnah that tells me, and it's an obvious question, an obvious answer, what would the scenario be in the Mishnah that comes up that says, why does it tell me 39 to tell me if I did all 39, I'm chayav 39 malachos? It can't be where I didn't know it's Shabbos, because then I'll only be chayav 1. So what's the obvious answer going to be? It must be that I knew it's Shabbos. Okay, I must be I knew it's Shabbos. So the Gemara says, Hechem mishkachas lei, bezadon Shabbos, v'shigas malachos. So the case must be, and this is really what it is, that I knew it's Shabbos, which is how we all interpreted it, right? And I did know the malachos. That sounds like it's axiomatic, but this is a setup here. Okay? So the Gemara says, okay, well, let's go back to what is it that defines shogeg, and that I need to, that shogeg is defined as. So we had a machlokes on Daf Samach Testament Aleph a long while ago, that according to Rav Yochanan, the Gemara presented a case that I didn't know that it was a chatas is enough to make me chayav shogeg. Gemara says no. There are two other reasons, two other suggestions. One is Rav Yochanan, that I did know, I knew that I'm chayav, I knew that I can't do it unintentionally, but I did know that I get kares. If I didn't know I get kares, I didn't know what the punishment was, that's going to make me consider as if I did a b'shogeg. I didn't realize the severity of it. I have to know that I'm going to get kares. That makes it, and if I didn't know if I'm going to get shogeg, if I didn't know I'm going to get kares, even if I knew that the malacha is aser, right? Nonetheless, I'm still shogeg because I didn't really appreciate the extent the severity of what it is. There's some logic to that. That's Rav Yochanan's opinion. So the Gemara says, okay, Isavalak Rav Yochanan the Omar Kevin Sheshagag Bekares Afa Bishehezid Belav. Even though I knew that the thing is aser, but what was the shogeg? The definition of shogeg, that I was shogeg in kares. So mishkachas la diyada Shabbos Belav. So I could have a case where I'm still doing everything b'shogeg. I'm still doing everything b'shogeg, and yet I know it's Shabbos.
Right.
Because what would be the scenario? I know it's Shabbos, but I don't know that I get kares for Shabbos. And also what do I know? And I don't know that the malachas are aser.
You don't know it's aser, you do, but you don't know the penalty. That's the part.
Or I do know the malachas are aser, but I don't know the penalty. Right. So in other words, in both of those cases, so afa pisha hezi belav mishkachas the yada li Shabbos belav, that I knew that Shabbos I get a lav. So I know Shabbos I get a lav. No, I think I didn't know the malachas. I know Shabbos is aser.
Okay.
I did not know that the malachas are aser. Okay. I knew that Shabbos is aser, but I didn't know that I get kares by breaking Shabbos.
Okay, for Shabbos itself.
For Shabbos itself. But I didn't know that the malacha of building, the malacha of fire is aser. So in such a case, what would I have there? I have a scenario that Shabbos, I know it's Shabbos, but I'm still shogeg for Shabbos and shogeg for the 39 malachos. So I still can have a case where it's shogeg for everything, but I still know it's Shabbos, but I knew it's a lav. So it's possible to give me a scenario where I'm doing shogeg for everything together, even though I know it's Shabbos. Okay? So Eli Savalak Rav Shimon Lakish, but the opponent of Rav Yochanan was Rav Shimon Lakish, the Yomar, Ad Sheyishgog Belav V'Kares. So in order to be shogeg, I have to not know that I'm doing it wrong. I have to not know it's a lav. I have to not know it's kares. The normal definition of what shogeg is. So if that's the case, if that is a scenario, so the other labor Shabbos b'mai. So what do I know that Shabbos is? In other words, if I don't know
about the malachas,
right? If I don't know that Shabbos is it all together, I'm only chayav one,
right?
Because it's Shabbos and the 39 malachas. If I have some kind of understanding of what Shabbos is, right, then I'll get them. Then all the 39 malachas will be considered b'shogeg, and I'll be chayav for, and the Shabbos will be considered like this shogeg kind of zodon kind of thing. So what would I know? So the Gemara answers, the Yad Allah b'tchumim v'alibad Rabbi Kiva. So in other words, the case would be, what do I know about Shabbos? I don't know anything about the malachas. I'm shogeg really for the malachas of Shabbos. I'm shogeg for all the malachas. I don't know anything about the malachas, but I know that there's an isra of tchumim of certain distances I can't go, and we're going to follow the opinion of Rabbi Kiva, who says the law of tchumim, the din of tchumim, is a din based upon Minat Torah. So that's really the conclusion of this piece of Gemara. Okay. So that's a little complicated, and I think I understood most of it, and I think I got it down. I'm still not 100% sure, but that's the best I can understand this piece of Gemara. Okay, now I'm going to stop here the sugya and move ahead, because this gets into all kinds of scenarios that are really even more convoluted. Now, whether you knew and you forgot, you brought a korban, but then you did another chet and another chatas, and the chatas goes for the second one, the first one, and back and forth. And I'm going to skip this whole Amud Ayin Aleph. And I'm going to go to the last word on Ayin Beis Amud Aleph, okay, with your permission or without your permission, okay?
Where are we going?
The last word on Ayin Aleph, Ayin Beis Amud Aleph, Itmar, Amud Aleph. Ayin Beis Amud Aleph, the last word is Itmar. Right, correct. So the next piece, the piece I'm skipping over, is really about your dios and what you knew and what you didn't know. Did you know you did many chatos. You knew for one, but you didn't know for the other. You knew for the second one, you forgot the first. You've got a third one, back and forth, and it goes all the way in and out, and it's just extremely complicated to flow through. I tried to think if I could do it. I don't think I can do justice to it. So Itmar. Okay. New topic, and this is going to be machlokas between Rav and Abaye, and this will take us to the Mishnah 9 Gimel Amud Aleph. At the bottom, there'll be 3 cases of Rav and Abaye give their opinions. Okay, all I can say about this is the issue about tchumin that we just mentioned will come up at the very end of the sugya in a different context. Okay, so if we didn't get the previous piece fully, it'll play out in a different way. So here's the case. Misasek. Anybody know the term misasek? Well, there's zadon, there's mezid, there's shogeg, and then there's a third category, which is less than shogeg, which is called misasek. Misasek, I had no intention whatsoever. So, for example, if I lean against a light switch, or I lean against the wall and there's a light switch that's there.
Can you define all 3? So I just
Mezid is intentionally.
Okay.
Okay. Shogeg is accidentally.
Okay.
What does accidentally mean?
So what's that? I'm not
sure. So what accidentally means I forgot. It's without intention, which means I forgot something. I forgot it's Shabbos, or I forgot the malacha is asur, or I did know this was malacha. Okay. I did know that. I don't know. Let's think of a good example. That's hard to understand. I did know that moving. I have to give something simple. Let's say I did know that lighting a fire is the Isur of Eish.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Or it could be that I did know there's an Isur of Eish. I know it's fire, but I did know that's how we define it.
Okay.
So, or I forgot it was Shabbos, and I knew I couldn't do it. So all of those are cases where I did it, I planned to do it, but I didn't do it with the intention to break Shabbos. Something was missing in my cognitive abilities.
I didn't realize that it was breaking Shabbos.
Sorry?
That's which one is that? That's
Shogeg.
So what's your third one?
Misasek means I didn't even know I'm going to do this. I lean against the wall and
Like
there's
a
a light
light
switch.
switch.
Correct.
Oh.
I lean against the wall and there's a light
Okay.
switch. Okay.
I thought that was Bishul. Okay, fine.
That's not b'shogeg.
No, okay. I didn't.
So actually,
You didn't even intend to do it at all.
No, that's why I'm learning.
Now there is, by the way, a third category fourth category called onus, where I was forced to do it. I did not want to do
Oh.
it. I had anti-knowledge, anti-intention. Right. So onus, you're put to 4. Right.
Someone forced you with a gun. Or
Someone
with a
forced me
gun.
with a gun, correct, right? And that's a whole discussion we had, for example, so therefore a child that was not raised in a Jewish environment, Tinok Shnishba, is that considered now, what is that, shogeg? Right? Or is it more like misasek, doesn't know what they're doing? Right? They have no intention. Sure they know what they're doing, but they don't know what they're doing because they have no idea what Shabbos is. Right? Or maybe it's like onus. Okay?
Or you could say on the other hand, why didn't he pursue in his
Right,
past?
correct.
Why didn't he pursue anything? So it's not really, you can't really say it's misasek.
So that's the
other
discussion about
channel.
Tinok Shnishba, how you classify Tinok Shnishba. Do you classify Tinok Shnishba as shogeg? If they didn't know about Shabbos, like a person who knew about Shabbos or forgot, or you can classify him less because he had no way to know about it. Right? We all have opportunities, and the opportunities that we have are sometimes more challenging and less challenging. Right? I agree. But what I want to talk about this is what this is misasek is not just about a tinok shnisba. Misasek can actually be for every one of us.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't realize that something's going to happen when we did something. It was completely off our radar. Right? It didn't even intend to do it. Right? Now what happens if I intended to do something that was permissible and something happened and I did a prohibited act? So that may also be misasek depending on how it plays out. That's a machlokas Rav and Abaye.
Like you thought it was just before Shabbos. You thought it was Shabbos. You thought it was Choil, but it ended up being Shabbos. The clock was broken or something.
Oh, let's say I'll give you a scenario that will come up later on, not the one we're going to have now. I threw a ball, and I thought I'm going to throw the ball just for 2 amos, and instead the ball kept rolling for 4 amos. It went for 4 amos. Or I thought I'm going to roll it. I thought I'm rolling it in my backyard, and it ended up the wind picked it up, or not the wind picked it up. My hand was stronger, and I flew it out, and I threw it into the street, and the street is a real Rosh Hashanah.
Right.
Okay, so therefore that's a type of thing. On the one hand, right? I want to do an activity. On the other hand, I didn't want to do the activity that's a busser, right? There could be another one. Is I didn't even want to throw the ball. Right? What if I wanted to? I don't know. I just hit the ball by accident. Right? I'm walking along and there's a soccer ball in front of my foot and I wasn't paying attention. And I kicked it in a goal, or a small ball and I kick it very far. That's really misasek. You see the difference? One, I didn't intend to kick the ball, and one, I intend to kick the ball, but I didn't intend to break the law.
Right.
Okay, so that's going to be a discussion between Rava and Abaye. How far away from the actual malacha do I have to be in order for this to be misasek, that I'm completely off the hook? Because misasek means it's like no penalty. Like there's not on my record. It's like, the cop pulls you over and says, I'm going to let you away with a warning, or something even less, right? Not even a fine. Not even there's no points in your license going to reduce it. Okay. So here's the case. There are two cases here. Niskavin lag bias atalosh v'chatach esa mechubar. I wanted to pick up something that was detached from the ground. If I cut something off from the ground, that would be a malacha of.
Sure.
What malacha would you like to make it? Kotzer. I'm cutting. I'm harvesting. Okay. So let's say I didn't want to cut anything off. I dropped my keys, and or in this case that let's make it more realistic. I dropped a knife. I'm eating a picnic in the backyard. I dropped a knife into the grass, and I reached down to pick up the knife and I cut the grass, or I cut the vegetable. Let's make it something I really can use.
This is by accident.
Yeah, I wanted to retrieve my knife.
And it went like this, I cut, okay.
My knife falls into thick grass. I'm in my backyard, and I want to get the knife, and I pick up the knife, and I cut a yerek. Okay. So in the skabein lagbia, I intended to pick something up, esatolish, that which was cut already.
Right.
In other words, that which was detached, disconnected the knife. And instead, I cut off something that was connected already. Okay, so that's pater. So in misasek is pater, and it's not even shogeg. Shogeg, you have to intend to do something, but the shogeg was you didn't know today was Shabbos, or you thought the malacha was mutar, and this was you really had no connection at all to doing the malacha itself. You didn't even intend to do the malacha; it was the farthest thing from your mind. Okay, saying you probably have the same reaction as you lean against the wall and there's a light switch, especially if everybody wants the lights to be on and you turned them off. Okay, right?
So shogeg is a defect in your knowledge.
Shofek is a defect in my knowledge, right?
And here, it's an absence of intention.
Correct.
It's not a question. Your knowledge is perfect,
right,
but you have there's an absence of intention.
It doesn't really make a difference whether my knowledge is perfect or not.
Right.
Even if
it is perfect.
Correct. Right. Okay. So look, if Rashi says it very clearly. If I just look for a moment in Rashi, the second line, v'chatachas mechubar pater, tichsiv asher chata ba. So that you sinned in it. V'darshinon bekrisus. In the Gemara krisus we learn prat lemisasek. This excludes someone who's misasek b'davar acher. V'yasa davar zeh. He wanted to do an A and he did on B. So what's shogeg? Says Rashi. V'shogeg kechidami. Kagon shneskavein lekach. Aval shogag. He wanted to do it. The intention was there, but what was the shogeg? The lack of knowledge. The savar shein hayom Shabbos. Today's not Shabbos. O savar shemalacha zumuteres. Oh, he thought this malacha is okay. But this one case here, in the case we have here was he was misasek, he was involved, was osek in hagbah, and he was not osek in chaticha, but he was misasek and he did do the chaticha. Okay? So that's the case that everybody agrees to is misasek. So you see, he wanted to do something clearly permissible on a different object, and he did something that was prohibited on a prohibited object. So that's clear? Okay. Next scenario. Lach toches atolish, v'chataches mechubar. Oh, this is a little different. The case here is he wanted to cut something which was cut already, and instead he cut something which was attached. Let's say he reaches over and he's going to cut that pepper. There's a pepper on the ground, and he thinks the pepper. He thinks he's cutting the pepper that's detached, but in effect, what it was attached. Had he known it was attached, he would have never cut it. But as he cuts it, he hears it gets not just cut in half, just cutting a slice off. He hears it break off of the attachment to the vine. Okay, I gave that because that's a case where the pepper grows on a vine and you would snake along the bottom. Okay, so but once again, did he intend to do this? No, he knew he can't do this, but he intended to do something else. However, what makes this case different was the type of malacha that he is doing
is it itself?
Is the same type of malacha, the type of action. I don't want to say malacha.
Right.
The type of action is the same type of action, except it was put on a mechubar.
Right.
So is that misasik or not? Right? And then let's go back to leaning against the switch. When I lean against the switch, my intention, my action is to lean.
That's it.
My intention is not to turn a switch. However, my leaning puts a force that's not what I want to do. Right? The case that we just said could be a case where I have a dummy switch and a live switch. Right? So there's nothing wrong with flipping a dummy switch. Right? And instead I flipped the live switch and I turned it on, I turned it off. That's the second case. Is that misasik or not? Guess what? Rav Amar Pater and Abaye Amar Chayav. Okay? There you go. So, and that's going to be a discussion why, back and forth, and applications to others. So the Gemara says why? Rav Amar Pater, there's a standard Rav Abaye Malchlokas. Rav Amar Pater, Dahalo Niskavin Lachaticha Disura. Why? You didn't, this is the second case. You didn't intend to cut a prohibited cutting. Abaye Amar Chayav, Dalka Machavin Lachaticha Bialmo. No, you want to do Chaticha, right? So therefore, is this considered misasik or not? Okay, or if it's not going to be misasik, what would it be? Shogeg. It would be shogeg, right? Okay. So so now Rava comes. The hard part about this Gemara is the proof that Rava tries to bring. Not so much here, but it's going to be right after the two dots. Amar Rava, Mina Allah. How do I know that that I'm correct? That misasik is going to be pater. Destanya chomer Shabbos mishar mitzvos, v'chomer shar mitzvos mishabbos. Okay, there's Shabbos has a chumrah compared to the other mitzvos, and the other mitzvos have a chumrah compared to Shabbos. Chomer Shabbos mishar mitzvos, shar Shabbos also shtayim behelam echad chayev al kolachas v'yachas. So Shabbos has a chumrah that if I do two separate malachas, I can do two malachas at one time, behelam echad, one forgetfulness, and I'm chayiv two, right? Let's say you, I can't think of an example, but I'm doing two things at once, or I do two things and I forgot them both at the same time. I'd be chayiv for each one. Mashen came b'shar mitzvos. On the other hand, compared to other mitzvos, now we have to explain what this means. Right, because it's not that simple. Because other mitzvos, if I do two other mitzvos, right, I should be chayiv two.
Two, right.
I eat chazer and I don't know, with a glass of milk. And,
No, but that doesn't count.
No, I eat chazer. Well, give me a good example. I eat chazer. I eat chazer.
With shrimp,
I don't know. I eat chazer. Well, I eat chazer on Yom Kippur. Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Okay, so that's a good example. Okay. That's the standard example I give, right? People don't come to shul, okay? So, and v'chomer shar mitzvos mishabbos, and on the other hand, the other mitzvos have a chomer compared to Shabbos. Sheb'shar mitzvos shogag below miskaven chayav, masha'en came b'Shabbos. Now this is a little more complicated, and don't even ask me to explain it because Gemara is going to get into this. If I did shogeg without any miskavein, the Gemara is going to have to explain that I'm chayev. On the other hand, Shabbos, shogeg below miskavein, I'm going to be, looks like potter.
So can I just get back?
Don't ask me what this means, okay?
No, I was just taking two steps back. It's just a few lines before. A real shogeg. If everybody agrees a thing is shogeg, do you have to do anything? In other words, are
What do you
you
mean? I have to make an action. I have to make an action.
liable for anything in terms of a korban, this, that?
Yes.
So the shogeg is the regular korban, right? You just don't get the karet for this.
It's
and that,
korban
all that
chatas,
stuff,
correct,
right?
yes.
Exactly.
That's correct.
So, totally. But shogeg,
Right.
of course, misasek, we're going to say it's completely patur, right?
And
Well,
misasik is nothing. That's right. Misasik is simply it's. I told you it's not even when the cop pulls you over and says I'm going to reduce it, so you
Right.
don't get points
So
on
he
your
just says,
license.
"Have a
You just
nice
have to
day,
pay
bud."
the fine. It's not even a warning. It's like didn't happen.
Right.
Okay. So misasik means, in other words, and this makes a whole lot of sense because Shabbos is really all about intentional work, meleches machsheves. You have to know what you're doing. People who have no intention whatsoever, you can't really hold them liable,
Absolutely.
right? At least in Shabbos language, in Shabbos culpability, because in malacha that you did not intend to do. Right now, there are different gradations. What if you didn't intend to do something, but you know it's going to happen, like what we call psik, right? Those kind of things.
Okay, but what about if you ate, let's say, something that looked like it had a hechsher on it, and then you found out later that was a fake, like we had
Big
the thing
extra.
in camp a couple of summers
The
ago.
cheese.
you know. The cheese.
So then
yeah.
the
So
rabbi,
is that shogeg or not?
the camp
But-
director's got to figure
No,
out
but
why
if
he put
that's
it on.
shogeg, I'm saying for the person
Oh,
who does
ate
it,
it.
the person
That's
who
not
made
easy.
it,
So the question is whether
he intended to eat.
it's a
that's
very
clear.
complicated question. The question is really, should the person have done more due diligence?
Well, you got a shkocha.
That's another
It has a
thing.
shkocha. You don't have
I don't mean you. I'm meaning the campers, the mashgiach.
No, he saw.
So the mashgiach caught it. It was
we
the
talk with the
thing.
person who
I
ate.
should have. It doesn't matter with the cap. I'm saying you see a thing that looks like it has a hechsher on it.
It's not.
A sticker. Okay, it's a fake sticker.
Whatever,
Okay?
you don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Is that shogeg by our definition in the sense you
Complicated.
You
Or is it
intended
the other
to
one?
do it.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, that's
I think
fine.
there are cases that are so complicated, like we can't figure this out. We can't
Okay.
make the
Okay,
decision.
sorry.
But I do believe the part of the answer is how much due diligence you should have done. Okay.
And that was
Right.
going to be my question about the guy who cuts the pepper, thinking that it's already detached. And it's not detached.
What was he
Look
thinking?
before-
What was
before
he
you go
What was he
cut it,
thinking?
you
Take a look.
You see
So-
if it's detached or not.
So
It's
that's
your fault.
pretty much Abaye's answer why he says chayav.
Why would you cut a
Right.
detached?
Right. That's the approach. In other words, if you're cutting, make sure that you're cutting the proper thing.
Right.
In the case you went to pick up the knife and you cut something by accident, you could also say you got to be a little more careful. No. But that's more reason to suspect
didn't intend to cut
that you
it
didn't
all.
intend to cut it all. You weren't even, no, that misasik is so far afield from what you wanted to do. You wanted to pick something up and you cut. So that's misasik. So therefore, Abai says, on the other hand, if you wanted to cut, be careful what you're cutting. Right? Same way you didn't cut your finger, make sure you didn't cut it off the stem. Now you could argue, on the other hand, that he put the pepper there and he reached down for the wrong pepper, whatever it was. You can think of all kinds of scenarios. It's also possible that it may have been hanging on a dead limb, right? A limb that came down in an ice storm, for example, that was just hanging there, and you said, "Well, there's a
Maybe you
fruit,
thought it was-
and I want to take it down now." And then it wasn't really detached. The limb was not broken; it was really still living. I don't know. You're right, but that's actually why the case is like a little bit of a gray area where you get Rav and Abai kind of. That's where they duke it out, so to speak. Okay, so the machlokas Rav and Abai is fairly simple. The hard part of this Gemara is going to be to explain what this proof of Rava, what the statement of Rava is, to compare that Shabbos has got more chumrah than other mitzvahs, and other mitzvahs have a more chumrah than Shabbos. What exactly are we talking about? Okay, just to let you know, it's really the Gemara's conclusion is going to be that it's not really about mitzvos. Some of it has to do with avodah zarah. Shabbos is going to be different than avodah zarah, but then when you put the flip side, avodah zarah doesn't work into the bottom end of the Mishnah. So it's going to be part of it has to do with Shabbos compared to avodah zarah, and the other hand has to do with other mitzvahs compared to Shabbos. So in other words, at the very end of all of this, the Gemara doesn't really have a good way to make it fit into the way we have the text here, or what it wants to say. Now, shar mitzvos, other mitzvos, can be interpreted to be all other mitzvos, or it could be other mitzvos. Right? It doesn't say kol shar mitzvos, shar mitzvos. So if you had a specific mitzvah that Shabbos was different from, it could work as well.
For sure.
Right? Compared to other mitzvos, which other, I don't know, avodah zarah maybe. So let's go through this. So this actually is going to take us quite a ways. Okay, so where are we up to? So 2 lots. Amar Mar. So let's recaps the brisa. Chomer Shabbos mimshar mitzvos. Shah Shabbos osa shtayim behel mechad v'chayva kol achas v'achas machashen came b'shar mitzvos. Okay, so that makes sense, right? Shabbos, well, at least it reads well. Shabbos, if you do 2 separate malachas, you chayav for each one. Other mitzvos, you're not. So Gemara says, "Hey chidami." What is it talking about? What do you mean do two averos? Elaim with the avad katsira tchina. Here's 2 examples. Okay, katsira is cutting, tchina is grinding. Okay, to kavase, and you can be chai for how many malachas on Shabbos? I didn't know that I can't do the process of preparing bread, so I cut the grain and I ground the grain, and then I realized it. So I'm chai for 2. So what would be the parallel example? The kavase gabashar mitzvah. So what would be the parallel example that you should not be chai to? Achal chaylev v'dam. I ate forbidden fats, and I ate dam. I ate blood. I drank blood. So hachatarti mechayev, hachatarti mechayev. Well, that's also going to be chayev too. What do you mean I'm only chayev 1?
Different?
How's that different? That's the case where in Ashar mitzvos I'm chayev 2. So what do you tell me Shabbos I'm chayev 2 and the other I'm chayev 1? Ella, well, let's try to flip it around. Shar mitzvos delo mechayev alachada hechidami. What's going to be the example where other mitzvos I'm only chayev 1? Diachal chaylev v'chaylev. What I ate different types of chaylev. I ate chaylev from this part of the animal and chaylev from the other part of the animal. Most of the chaylev is in the back, but I ate from different parts of the animal. So the kavasi, the gabi Shabbos, the avad ktsira. Okay, so I cut grain, then I cut again grain. I'm also going to be chayiv. So hacha chayiv, chada chayiv, hacha chada chayiv, chayiv 1. So in other words, this is not 2 versus 1. This is either 2 versus 2 or 1 versus 1. People look at me. The second case is 1 versus 1, right? It's chaylev and chaylev versus ksira is 1 versus 1. Ksira and tchina versus chaylev and dam is 2 versus 2. So eliolam da'avad ksira tchina. No, it did 2 separate malachos. Umay ma she'ein came b'shar mitzvos. And when it says I'm comparing it to other mitzvos, what is it compared to? Avodah zarah. I'm comparing it to avodah zarah. And with avodah zarah, there's a special limud that the Gemara has in Masechet Sanhedrin, that if I do different isurim, different forms of worship for idols worship, and I do them together, I'm only chayav 1. So I don't say I did this kind of worship and this kind of worship and that kind of worship. And the Gemara gives the example. Ukid Rabbi Ami, that Rabbi Ami says in Masechet Sanhedrin, Rabbi Ami zibeach plus kiter, plus nisech, b'halama achas enochayv alachas. Zibech is I slaughtered the animal for the avodah zarah. Kiter is I burnt the animal on the altar for the avodah zarah. Nisech is I sprinkled the blood on the altar for the avodah zarah. So I did 3 separate malachas, or 3 separate avodos. For which I'm chayiv, right, correct.
There's only one misa. You can only kill him.
Well, so maybe, I forgot, b'halama achas, I forgot. I forgot, I didn't know it's an avodah zarah, or I did know these are prohibited, or I did know that I'm worshiping an idol worship. We'll see exactly in a moment. It gets more very complicated, but it says halamachas. So in other words, so therefore I'm chayiv I'm chayiv only 1 chatas for serving the idol in multiple ways. Okay. So that's how we're now presenting it. So shar mitzvos is not all of the mitzvos. It's going to be this particular. One of the other mitzvos. Shabbos I'm chayav 2, ksira and tchina, versus avodah zarah, zibeach, kiter and nisech I'm chayav 1. Okay, that's good. Except let's go to the second part of this, which we didn't understand when we read it. Ema sefer. Chomer b'shar mitzvos sheb'shar mitzvos shogag below miskaven chayav, ma she'ein came b'Shabbos. So with other mitzvos, if I did shogeg without miskavein, which we don't even understand what that means. What does it mean shogeg without miskavein? What does that mean? I forgot about it. I didn't know what I'm doing. Is it miskavein? Is it misas? What are we talking about? But whatever it is, somehow shogeg, somehow with the other mitzvos, in this case, got to be avodah zarah, I'm going to be chayev. And if I do the same kind of thing or similar, parallel kind of thing in Shabbos, it's going to be pater. So what is this? A high shogeg below miskavein avodah zarah hechidami. What are we talking about? Ilema, and it gives you all kinds of scenarios. What can I possibly do with avodah zarah that I didn't know what I'm doing? Ilema, it can't be shogeg, because we just defined shogeg, right? We just said you zibeach, kiter, v'nisech. So I didn't know that I can't do these avodas, or I didn't know that it's an avodah zarah. Ilema kasavar beis knesses who v'ishtachavala. Maybe I thought I'm going to a shul. There's probably all kinds of jokes you can make about that, okay? But it really was a church, okay? The truth is, many shuls, when the Jewish community moves away, they become churches. That's what happened in the Bronx.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa. So I grew up in a shul that had been a mission house, okay? It was a church, and it actually had a small steeple. And I didn't know as a kid understand what it was.
To St. Marie, the shul is in an old church, and you can see it's shaped. It's like built like a steeple.
Right.
They took
Somewhere
out.
in Kensington Market area.
There's now a church.
Old shul.
That's now a church.
It's now a Greek Orthodox.
Right,
yeah,
correct. It's at the end of the
So
street.
someone made the
that's the,
observation. At least the church is Orthodox.
Henry Street shul.
Yeah, it's right at the end of the street. It's the end of the street.
And then
there.
Kensington, by one of those
Right.
places around there.
The
Became a church, but
right,
it's Greek
correct.
Orthodox.
So it unfortunately happens. Cecil
Street.
Street, yes, Cecil Street, yes.
Cecil
Okay. Look, the reality is, and there are, by the way, there are heterim for it in many cases.
Yeah.
That's
You have to sell on this.
yeah, but that's what I grew up with, where when the neighborhoods went, I don't want to say it, but when they went black, they became Black Baptist churches. Jews moved out, they sold it, right, or else they got firebombed or something, and that's what they usually became.
Montreal, when they had like 400 Catholic churches, like half of them become condominiums, actually, or what? Not
Well,
condominiums, but like
well,
houses. And
correct, but that's
things like
unusual.
that.
That's a really kind of new type of re-architecture
Totally,
things.
absolutely.
Correct. Okay. So let's say maybe you thought it's a shul and you went in there. So the Gemara says, well, Hari Liba Shemayim. No, that's even mutar. In other words, what chiyuv are you going to have? In other words, even if you knew, because even if you knew it's an avodah zarah, you think you're in a shul. What do you do in a shul? Praying to Hashem. So what do you tell me? You went into a church and you prayed to Hashem. Okay, it's not the ideal thing. I don't want to say that necessarily church is avodah zarah, but let's say you went into a Buddhist temple and you prayed to Hashem. You pulled out your machzor on Rosh Hashanah and you davened. You did your davening. Okay, so what is that? Is that wrong? Is that an avera? It's not ideal, but there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong that you did. Okay, I want to say you should go into a church, right? But I'm saying that's just you didn't even intend to bow to the avodah zarah. You're bowing to Hashem. Ella, so it can't be that. Ella the chazay andarta. So an andarta is a statue. Today, by the way, the term andarta is a memorial. The big statues, the memorials they make for soldiers are called usually andartas. But it comes in Israel. But it comes from this word. An andarta was a statue like the statue of the king. So a statue of the king, a statue of Caesar, is not...
It's an Aramaic word. It's probably Aramaic.
I don't know if it's Aramaic or if it's Greek.
It's not Hebrew.
Well, it's not Hebrew. It probably is Greek.
Oh,
Greek sounds more Greek. Yeah.
Okay.
You can look it up for us for next week, what it is in Greek.
I don't have a Greek.
Jastrow, of course. You have a Jastrow?
Oh, Jastrow.
Jastrow, he's online.
Marcus J. He's online. I know.
Good, okay.
Jastrow's online.
Andarta. So there was a
Really? Astro Online.
right. So there was a statue of the king, and they made it for honor the king, right? Like the statues of the queen, except probably back in those days there was more shtickle avodah zarah connected with the kings,
For sure.
right? V'sagidlei, and then you bow down to it. So now, okay, so you're bowing down not to the idol. You're bowing down to a statue. So what did you bow down for? If you accepted this statue as a deity, so meziru. Well, that's not shogeg ramaskavin. You know what you're doing. Maybe you may be onus, right? But you may be forced to do it. Maybe whatever I'm saying. But you know what you're doing. You didn't take it as a deity, or aloha, I should say, because it's really a idol. You didn't accept it. You're just bowing down to the king. Lav klumhu. It's nothing. It's like bowing down, like when you meet royalty. You bow, right? You bow. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a statue, but still.
When Rabbi Sachs was knighted, he went down on his knee, right? Right. They asked. I was present when someone asked Rabbi Sachs how we could go into a church. I think I told you this. No, how we could go into the church for the. Was it who?
It was a jubilee or the royal wedding.
Or the royal wedding. So there was a mass.
You have to.
No, not a mass.
There was a mass there was a mass before.
It's not a mass. It's the Church of England.
But they're currently.
Or was it? I guess it was in the Anglican Church.
Roman Catholics.
Okay, so they took their vows in the Anglican Church. They asked him how he could go there.
Yeah.
He said he got an invitation from the Queen. He said if you're not to take that invitation up, was Morid B'Malchus.
Yeah.
So Trump's going into a church. Okay.
There's a beautiful video on YouTube of the royal wedding, and they're singing this magnificent hymn, which I remember as a kid. And there, in the front row, is Rabbi Sachs.
He's singing.
Singing away.
Yeah, there you go.
In English, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
But it's a hymn which is based on the hymn.
On the hymn. They're always
It's a
based on
hymn
the hymn.
from the Anglican prayer.
Yeah.
I remember, singing this at school as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. So therefore,
There you go.
there you go. Different times, different places. So if you accepted the Andarta as a god, so then it's mazid. If you didn't accept it as a god, so lav klum. So you didn't do anything. I mean, you didn't do anything. You didn't break avodah zarah. Elos, you got to have here. There's got to be some kind of avodah zarah that's there, or some kind of statue that you're accepting as avodah zarah. But elamei avo miyera. Okay. So in other words. You did it, you're only doing it because you love this person, or you're in awe of this person, you're afraid of this person.
Which person we
The person on the andarta, okay? The person on the andarta, okay? So you're accepting this andarta that is meant as a statue of some royalty that is really meant as a deity, but you're not really worshiping this because you want to worship it, but because you're either a proud citizen or because you're afraid that afraid of the person, okay? So, and he feels, seeing that really deep down, I don't really feel that I'm worshiping the idol, it's okay. How many of us in December end up singing along in the malls when they're playing the Christmas carols, right? Silent Night, there's a good one, because Silent Night is probably really worship.
Irving Berlin, probably.
No, I'm not talking about the Jingle Bell song. Silent Night, Holy Night, the King is born, it's all there, and everybody's right?
We didn't have those in Borough Park.
But you don't think. But who would say that you're worshiping a god? Of course not. You're just singing. That's what you hear, right? So let's say it's Avo Miyera. So Hani Chad L'Abaye Di Amar Chaim. So that would be according to Abaye, who says in Sechet Sanhedrin that where you're serving Me'avo Miyera, you're chayev. So I understand this is a case where in such a scenario of what are we going to say here? This is shogeg below miskaven. We haven't dealt with the Shabbos end of it.
No, but right here we're saying, we're saying you're not worshiping, whatever, you're bowing.
We're trying to find an example of shogeg below miskaven that you're chayev for in Avodah Zarah,
right,
that you would not be chayev in Shabbos. So we haven't even gone to the Shabbos comparison part yet.
Let's stay with the Avodah Zarah now. Are we saying? We're saying you agree that this is not a deity, but it's something that whatever.
You're serving it not because you're really serving it. You're serving it because you're fearful of serving it, and you don't really intend to serve it, but you're going through the motions of serving it without really intending to do it. So you're shogeg below miskaven.
What about the ba'ava, the me'ahava?
So I'm doing it because I really feel that this is I'm a good citizen.
Really important guy.
Right, like when I get up to sing "O Canada" and I sing it in the French, and they talk about under the cross.
Right.
You guys tell me I don't know the French.
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Say that?
C'est porter la croix, right?
In French, it's different than
Right, totally different.
I've never seen a Jew kind of shut their mouth when they say that, but I don't even know where it is.
That is.
I didn't know that. I never seen it in French.
Absolutely.
Nobody knows this song. What do I know? I don't even know French.
Protégé, no foyer, no droit.
I grew up in the Bronx. There was no French.
And our rights.
Okay.
It's a whole different thing. But
That's a good example where you get up to say this. Let's say there was something. Let's say there was something even less innocuous.
Right.
That whatever it is, it talked about some deity. Okay.
Right. Sure.
You substitute
I don't know. Let's say instead of God save the queen, our queen.
Whatever.
Okay. It said, let's say something that had a name of a deity.
Yeah.
So you get up to say that because you're a citizen. That's me'ava.
So
But
we're
now
saying
you're
chayav, though. We're saying you're chayav.
Right, so that's a machlok. So that itself is a machlokas Rav and Abaye. Another machlok by Rav and Abaye.
Okay.
So the Gemara says Hanicha. So we're trying to find an example of Avodah Zarah
Right.
that shogeg without miskaven that you're chayav, and then we've got to drag it over to Shabbos and see what happens with Shabbos.
Right.
So Hanicha la Abaye di Amar chayav. So according to Abaye, who says not our Abaye. I mean, it's the same guy, but not the machlokas of our Abaye that we had at the top of the page, but the machlokas in Masechet Sanhedrin about whether this kind of semi-worship, where you're doing it not really because you want to worship,
Right.
you do it me'ava me'ira, is chayev. So then that would be a case of where you've got shogeg below miskaven. You're doing it with some kind of misintention, with misdirection, without the proper intention. El Rava de Amar Pater, but according to the Rava about Me'avo Me'ira in Masechet Sanhedrin, who says you're Pater, so Ma'ikal Meimar.
This is our same Rava, right?
The same guy, the same, because Rava and Abaye go at it all the way through Shas.
Right.
But according to Rava in Masechet Sanhedrin, who says that this is considered Pater,
Right.
so then that can't be a scenario of Shogeg below Miskavin de Avodah Zarah that's going to be Chayev. So Ma'ikal Meimar. Okay? Ella. But what must you say? Ela be Omer Mutar. So what would be the case that you're talking about Shogeg Berbal Miskavein, where you're actually worshiping a real idol, but you think it's permissible to worship this? How could this ever happen? How could this happen? A person could worship an idol and think this is okay. Well, let's go back to our scenario of people who don't know things are wrong. Right? Tinok Shnishba, Ger Shnis Gayer, right? So Rashi gives the example, Gersh Niskaya Ben HaNachrim. Right? He grew up with non-Jews. It doesn't mean that his gerus was improper, but you don't have to teach everything to a ger when he converts. We teach him many things. We teach him what we think is important. You would hope that you would teach him that avodah zarah is wrong, but somehow that slipped through, and then he grows up in a neighborhood where there's no one else Jewish around, so he's left to figure it out himself. So he thinks that it's still okay to kind of worship idols, which, by the way, is probably not that far-fetched in our modern society. When you have, I don't know, this example about whether it's shogeg blo miskaven, about people who convert, right, who then still want to celebrate their holiday seasons with their family, right, whether it's Christmas or whether it's Easter or whether other times, and it comes together, right, and there's all kinds of challenges they have. And by the way, they should not be discouraged. They just have to know what they can do, what they can't do, right? There's issues of kashrus, right? That's usually a greater issue in our secular society. Going to pray in a church is probably not usually the thing that they go back for. It's usually the meal, right? But at any rate, so what we're going to give the example here. So where the ger that was Niskayer Ben HaNachrim, he grew up Ben HaNachrim, and he thinks that avodah zarah, there is no avodah zarah. He doesn't know about the prohibition of avodah zarah. This is called shogeg b'lo miskaven. So Masha'en came b'Shabbos the pater legamrei. Okay. So on Shabbos, on the other hand, if you did not know that there was a prohibition of Shabbos, then you'd be pater completely. That's what we're saying. What would be that's the parallel analogy? Okay, in other words, the analogy we're trying to say it on avodah zarah, you're chayev for X, as a and that's more machmir than Shabbos. The same X or the parallel X is going to be pater. You see, am I making sense?
I'm trying to find the Shabbos. So again, we have this.
So I'm coming to a conclusion now. The Gemara is coming to a conclusion. The case it has to be is about the avodah zarah, where the Jew does not know it's prohibited to worship idols, and he's chayev. Right. So he's chayev, and he's chayev one. That's what we're saying in this statement that Rava brought. On comparison to Shabbos, that if he didn't know that Shabbos was prohibited, he's not going to be chayev. Okay, that's got to be the comparison.
Right.
Now the problem with that comparison is, what if a Jew never learned it was Shabbos? Just
like this
right.
person, this ger didn't learn that there was in the Torah forbade.
Correct. So except for the opinion of Tinok Shnishba, that's the Tinok Shnishba, the Gemara, the Mishnah says, and really there's a discussion, a piece we skipped over between Rav and Rav Nachman, that Rava holds that you be chayiv one. In other words, if you go back for a moment, even the example we had when we started the sugya today, about where you did know Shabbos and you did know malachas. Right? And we said, what did you know? So you know tchumin. But you really didn't know Shabbos, and you really didn't know malachas. How many malachas you chayiv for? It says machlokas, 1 of 39. But no one ever says you're off scot-free, unless you want to give the Tinok Shnishba the argument. Right? But it seems that Rava does not follow the Tinok Shnishba argument, because the place we started with today was Rava asking Rav Nachman about what happens about Helam Zeh v'Zeh, Helam Shabbos and Helam Malachos. So now the Gemara says, well, the problem with that is, therefore, Mashen came Shabbos the pat legamri. I'm back in the Gemara, 2 lines in the bottom. Al karcha lo boy minei. No, Mashen came Shabbos the pat legamri. Al karcha lo boy. I'm trying to read this. Al karcha lo boy minei Rav Rav Nachman Eli lechiu v'chada lechiu v'tarta. So Rav's question from Rav Nachman really was, are you chayiv one or chayiv multiples? Of a mifterei legamri lo. But in other words, you'd never say that in this scenario, I know we say about Tinok Shnishba, that this Gersh Niskaya, that you really get no malacha, maybe one malacha for the entire life, but you're always going to get one. So therefore, it can't be the comparison to Avodah Zarah. Okay, we wanted to say, what are we comparing it to? Let's just kind of sum up for a moment. Okay, let's just kind of pull ourselves together. It's going back and forth. Okay, we had 2 things here. Shabbos is more machmir than mitzvos, and mitzvos are more machmir than Shabbos. Shabbos is more machmir than mitzvos, because if you do 2, you're going to be chayiv 2. With other mitzvos, you're only going to be chayiv 1. Right? Helam echad. And other mitzvos are going to be chayiv more than Shabbos. They'll be chayiv for shogeg below miskaven, and Shabbos is part of shlogeg below miskaven. So he said, what's shar mitzvos? What is it? If you're doing ksira and tchina, there's two things for Shabbos. Well, then chaylev and dam is going to be same two and two. If you say it's just chaylev and chaylev, that's one. So in Shabbos is ksira is also one. So what the Gemara says? So it's not Shabbos versus Shar Mitzvos. What is it? Shabbos versus Avodah Zarah. Okay,
Now we're knocking that down.
right, that's correct. So therefore, Shabbos versus Avodah Zarah, and that works because with Shabbos, if you do multiple malachos, you chayav many.
Right.
With Avodah Zarah, you do multiple malachos, or multiple avodos, you only chayav one.
Right.
So then you got to go back to the end of Rava. It says, and other mitzvahs are more machmir than Shabbos. That other mitzvahs are shogeg b'lo miskav and yechayev, and Shabbos is not shogeg with lo miskav and yechayev. Okay, so we said, well, that doesn't work for Avodah Zarah. We tried all the possible scenarios. So what happens now? And we're pretty much out of time. Okay. So the Gemara says, "Elav reisha be'akum v'seifa b'shar mitzvos." Okay, and so maybe I'm going to hold it here because it's a little complicated to explain the next 10 lines to get to the end. But the reisha is dealing with can't be dealing with Avodah Zarah. And the Gemara says, well, it does the Elalav Reisha Biakum V'Seifa B'Shar Mitzvah. So the Gemara is going to give a very complicated explanation to say that the Seifa, the end of the second half, deals with other mitzvahs compared to Shabbos, and the other beginning is really Shabbos versus Avodah Zarah. Okay, I'm trying to think if I should do this. I'm really no time. Okay, maybe we'll stop here. Okay, so I'll stop here. I'll try to put out a chart. So when we come back next week, we can pick it up here.
Let me look up that word.
Okay, so that takes us right up to here. So in other words, what the Gemara is going to end up saying, just so we understand, maybe just conclude this way. The Gemara is going to end up saying is the top half is definitely Shabbos versus Avodah Zarah. The bottom half can't work Avodah Zarah versus Shabbos, so we're going to say the bottom half is Shar Mitzvos versus Shabbos. So we're going to end up with some kind of hybrid, shotnestized statement of Rava, Shabbos versus Avodah Zarah, and Shar Mitzvos compared to Shabbos, and squeeze the bottom half, and even so the bottom half is still going to be a kvetch into making it work. And we'll see that next week. Okay. Oh, and by the way, then this will take us, the Mishnah, the bottom of Ayin Gimel Amud Aleph, we had done already. And Ayin Gimel Amud Aleph, there's about 10 lines at the bottom. That's where we started. So I'm thinking not to go back to the second parak at this point. Maybe I'll go back to the fifth parak. Okay, the fifth parak tells it's a short piece. There's 6 blot. 2 of the blot are agadita. The last 2 blot. The first 4 are about different things that animals carry, what they're carrying and what is considered a burden. If you put, let's say, for example, you put decorations on an animal. Right. Can the animal go out like this on Shabbos? Sure. Is it decorations? Is it carrying? What is, like, I know what we carry, right? Is a watch carrying or not? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's going to be, that's actually the 6th parak, okay? Right. But the 5th parak is about animals. It's a light kind of parak. I think we'll balance out some of the stuff we've done here, which is a little bit heavy. Okay.
Sounds good.